Metal Gear Solid. One of the many PlayStation games I hadn't experienced until recent years. My PS1 was my first video game console ever way back in the day, but I didn't actually play this little, big gem until about 2 years ago, when I borrowed it from a friend. It immediately became the #1 item on my Christmas wish list that year, and boy howdy, I was psyched when I got it. Good year. It was released in 1998 by Konami Computer Entertainment. It was created by Hideo Kojima as an action-adventure stealth game. It was one of the first of its kind, but not in the series. It was preceded by Metal Gear in 1987 and by Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, in 1990 on the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES if you prefer. It has since had several sequels, including Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, in 2001, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, in 2004, and Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, in 2008. More recently, Metal Gear Solid 5, Ground Zeroes, and Phantom Pain have also been released. And now, it's time for Quiz Time! 2 of these 6 Metal Gear games were made with little to no involvement with series creator Hideo Kojima. Can you guess which ones? Trick question. Technically, the first Metal Gear game to be released was created by Hideo Kojima on the MSX2 system, and was never released in America. The one released here on the NES was a heavily modified version with the same name, and Kojima actually had little to do with it. The second one, Snake's Revenge, also was made without Kojima's involvement, but no worries, a true sequel was requested of Kojima at a later date. This became known as Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake. Also, Super Metal Gear was completely made up. I fooled you.
You all bought it! You all bought it! Hook, line, and sinker!
So, about the game itself. In Metal Gear Solid, you play as super soldier Solid Snake as you infiltrate a heavily guarded facility used to hold vast stores of weapons and secrets, including the game's namesake itself, Metal Gear. And yes, it is pronounced like that. Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
It can't be.
As
The team leader of the Metal Gear Rex project.
You knew? Metal Gear is one of the most secret black projects.
Oh, if there's anyone who can figure out how to stop Metal Gear from launching, it's him. Emmerich knows how to destroy Metal Gear.
I had heard the Metal Gear project was scrapped. I understand, but why Metal Gear? Rex.
Metal Gear Rex. The code name for the new Metal Gear prototype.
You mean Metal Gear?
Yes, the Metal Gear system was our last ace in the hole. That's why we pushed to have Metal Gear developed as a black project. Anyway, Metal Gear was going to be formally adopted after the results of this exercise.
Doesn't Metal Gear use currently existing technology?
Metal Gear itself does.
Oh my god! Metal Gear!
This being a stealth mission, you go in alone as you try to accomplish your goals, rescuing hostages and stopping a nuclear launch. Pretty tall order, but no match for Solid Snake. And you have to do all this without being noticed by your enemies. In other words, the less you have to kill, the less you are seen, and the better your score is at the end. They actually give you a rank at the end depending on your score. It's pretty cool. I got elephant, but I had fun. Yeah. Mostly, you're tasked with moving around stealthily with occasional combat sequences. If you're spotted, you must either take out your opponents or hide until they basically forget about you. Bosses are great. Each one feels completely different than the last, and each has a unique ability that really makes you think to win. If you charge in headfirst against them, or any part of this game for that matter, you're almost certain to get your butt gift-wrapped and caramel right back to you. The Revolver Ocelot match feels particularly epic while you're playing it, but rewatching footage of the fight after the fact, it kinda felt a little silly to me. Kinda like the Colt Single Action Army. 6 bullets, more than enough to kill anything that moves. Now I'll show you why they call me Revolver. Draw. Controls are solid, 10 out of 10. Everything felt just as it should. Controls were tight, responsive, and easy to get the hang of. I never felt that it was the game's fault when I died, which, I should note, was somewhat often. This game is no slouch in the difficulty department, mind you, though it's certainly not the most difficult game I've ever played. Definitely more for the hardcore audience than for casual gamers. Now being an aspiring voice actor myself, I've always had a deep appreciation for the vocal talent in all the video games and cartoons I've experienced in my life. So before we progress any further, let's introduce the players in this production. If you love the gravelly, deep, and rugged tones of Solid Snake, then you have this man to thank. David Hayter is a popular voice actor and screenwriter, and has played Solid Snake in most of his appearances throughout the Metal Gear franchise. If you'd like to hear more of his work, check out some of these. Lupin III in the Castle of Cagliostro, as Arsène Lupin himself. Several iterations of Captain America in various Marvel cartoons, and he played Kurama in Yu Yu Hakusho, The Golden Seal. You know, it's funny, I never realized how often Snake repeated things he'd just heard as a question. I mean, just look at this one conversation between him and one of the hostages. It's uncanny.
If it hadn't been for the revolution.
Revolution?
Rex has fallen into the hands of terrorists.
Rex?
Metal Gear Rex. Pal, it's set up so that you need to input 2 different passwords in order to launch the device.
There are 2 passwords?
Yes, Baker knows one, and I know one.
Baker? The president of Arms Tech.
Psycho Mantis can read people's minds. You can't resist.
Psycho Mantis?
But there is a way to stop the launch.
What?
The card keys.
Card keys? Do you know where they might be keeping Baker?
Somewhere in the 2nd floor basement.
2nd floor basement?
It'll open any level 1 security door. It's called a pan card. It works together with your body's own electrical field.
Personal area network, huh?
But what about the Pentagon?
Pentagon?
If you like Liquid Snake, the smooth villain of this game, then you are also a fan of Cam Clark. Cam is a popular voiceover artist who has over 230 credits to his name from cartoons and video games. You might recognize him from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in 1987 as Leonardo. That's always my favorite. In LEGO Batman 2, DC Superheroes, back in 2012, he played the Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter. And if you saw the 2002 He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, you'd recognize him as He-Man himself. Meryl Silverberg, the love interest of this game, is Debbie Mae West, who has done such characters as Tsunade in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, and Gigi in Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. Colonel Roy Campbell was Paul Aiding, who is probably best known as Max Tennyson in Ben 10. He has also done roles in Avatar: The Last Airbender, God of War, and Transformers. Gray Fox pulled double duty here, as he was voiced by Greg Eagles in the original PlayStation version, and as Rob Paulson in the GameCube remake, The Twin Snakes. Greg Eagles is probably best known for his performance as the Grim Reaper in The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. It's worth noting that he also played Donald Anderson and Decoy Octopus in this game. Rob Paulson, who while having over 700 roles under his belt, is probably best known, at least for me, as Donatello in the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, as well as Raphael in the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, among others. Turtle power. One thing I love about this game is that it is so dang clever. Hideo Kojima was already breaking down barriers with his radical, tactical espionage action gameplay style. But he went the extra mile to ensure that this was also one of the best gaming experiences there was in general. There are so many things he put into this game, and all of his games for that matter, that I never would have thought about putting in. For example, when you're fighting one of the earliest bosses, Psycho Mantis, you learn that he can read your mind. He then proceeds to tell you some of the video games you have played recently. Or not so recently. How does he do this, you ask? He reads the data on your memory card and relays some of the information back at you. I love this game. Not only that, but the game has also taken note of how many times you've saved your game so far, and depending on that, he tells you about your playstyle. He'll say things like, "You are a highly skilled warrior, well suited to this stealth mission. You are extremely careful of traps. You are either very cautious, or you are a coward." His powers don't stop there, though. He can even make it appear like he has the ability to mess with your TV's screen and input options, so for a second you think he can actually change the channel. Seriously? Want to hear more? Well, there's a section of the game where you go through some icy caves full of wolves, and you eventually find a little baby wolf who takes a shine to your female partner. If you punch her enough times, the next time you go into your cardboard box, the little pup pees on you to get back at you. That little stinker. Of course, I suppose you're a stinker for punching your partner, but irrelevant. But here's the clever part. Now that there's wolf scent on your cardboard box, the other wolves will leave you alone. You've got wolf smell, and now they accept you as one of their own. How awesome is that? That thing's pretty good. Still hungry? Want thirds? There's a torture sequence, and depending on whether you succumb to the torture or not depends on how you play the game next. If you give in, the next time you play, you get invisibility powers. Okay, not bad, not bad. But I'm no coward. If you don't surrender, like a stallion, you get unlimited ammo for your next gameplay. And no matter what you do those first 2 times, on your third playthrough, you get to play as Snake wearing a friggin' James Bond tuxedo. Like a sir. Colonel, I look like a sir. Colonel, Colonel, Colonel! The story's pretty cool, and for the sake of this video and maintaining some surprises, I won't reveal everything here. However, what I can say is that there are so many twists and turns, surprises and shocking revelations that it almost feels like an action movie at sometimes. In fact, the way the camera functions, especially during the cutscenes, the whole thing feels like a full-length feature film. It's a very satisfying cinematic experience, along with being an excellent game. Game designers struggle all the time to strike this balance between telling a story and having the player live the story, and Metal Gear Solid does this flawlessly. What honestly strikes me sometimes is how real this whole game really feels to me, and by real, I don't mean... I mean the way that war and all that comes along with it are portrayed. Sure, it's romanticized and dramatized a lot in our culture, but it really happens, and what people go through in such times is really a hard thing to bear. So next time you see a veteran as you go throughout your day, be sure to thank them, because chances are they've sacrificed a lot for you and me to be able to experience all the comforts we get in our daily lives. And yes, that includes... Thanks for watching.